Hello and welcome to the latest in my series of videos on how to help children avoid making mistakes in the phonics screening check. Tonight I'm going to be talking about how we can help children who aren't spotting digraphs in words and are inclined to sound out every single letter. So for example, a child who might come to a word like this and go ist, or maybe ist, and not notice that that word's actually got digraphs in it. So I've showed this magic wand game on one of my earlier videos a couple of weeks back. It's a little bit of a variation on a countdown. So using a set of words, each of which will probably contain a digraph somewhere, I would say to the children, we're about to play our magic wand game where the magic wand has to work out where the sound buttons actually would be. So to help us, before we get a child leading the class and pointing with the magic wand, we're going to play Spot the Digraph, so that when we actually start to play the real game, hopefully we will be able to read the words correctly, noticing where there are digraphs. So I would have the wand, and I'm going to move the wand underneath the word. Every time they think there is actually a line sound button underneath there, an invisible one, they're going to just read that digraph. So we're not actually going to read the words. So it would work a little bit like this. I'll do the pointing and I'll read as if I were the children spotting the digraph. So they would go A, R, I, O. So they're not reading the words, they're just spotting where there are digraphs hiding in those words. And then we would play the magic wand game, as I explained a couple of weeks ago. So one child would come up and hold the magic wand, and they're going to press the imaginary sound buttons that would be underneath that word. But hopefully by playing Spot the Digraph first, we've noticed where those digraphs might be hiding within the words. So that's one thing that you can do. An alternative would be to use a sheet like this, perhaps in the practice part of the phonics lesson. Children might work with a partner. One person is going to be responsible for reading all the blue words. One person is going to be responsible for reading all the green words. And to help them as they go, they're going to use a highlighter pen. The children really quite like getting their hands on the highlighter pens. So the person who's got the blue word picks up the highlighter pen, and they're going to sound it out whilst drawing the sound buttons underneath. So they would go A, S, T, faced. Then they'd pass the pen to their partner. Now, if their partner's watched that, if they haven't done it correctly, their partner might say to them, oh, I don't think that was quite right, have another go. So the idea is that the partner is watching carefully to make sure it's done properly. So the pen then passes to the other person who's in charge of the green words. They'd put the buttons underneath. S, R, N, K, sank. And again, partner's watching. If they make a mistake, they might get them to have another little go if they haven't spotted the digraph in particular. And they work their way through until they get to the end of the sheet. So they've had a jolly good practice. Their partner's watching out and checking as they go. The other thing you could do is to leave out a sheet like this as an adult initiated activity. You could choose to write at the top of the sheet how many digraphs there are hiding in the words on this page. And this time what the children are going to do independently is use the highlighter pen to just highlight the digraphs. They know by the number at the top of the sheet how many it is they've got to find. So that's their challenge, to try and find all of them. So they might just highlight them in the normal way that you would highlight things with a highlighter pen. So every time they spot a digraph or a trigraph, they'd colour it in and see if they can find the number that's indicated at the top of the page. So if you've got access to the gold resources on my website, you'll find a whole set of these sheets under the Phase 4 section and another set under the Phase 5A section. There's also in these Leslie's Screening Check Resources section, I've done a revision plan for a whole week of revision, which I often use the week before the phonics screening check. And each day focuses on a different aspect that children can find difficult and make mistakes with. So along the lines of the set of videos I've been doing on my Facebook page. So for example, there is a lesson all about spotting split digraphs in words. There's a lesson on spotting the digraphs like we've done today. There's a lesson on spotting the mistake. So if words are sounded but the wrong word gets said. There's also a lesson on long words and all the resources to go with it. So there's little booklets that children can work on with a partner to then practice reading those words. So if you've got access to the gold resources, you'll find that might be of use to some of you. Next week, I am going to be talking about oh, I've forgotten what it is I'm going to be talking about next week. I will post that next week, and yeah, 7 o'clock next Wednesday will be the last in the set of videos on helping children to avoid mistakes in the phonics screening check. Oh, I know what it is next week. It's children who sound out the word and then forget to actually tell you what the word is, and therefore we have to mark the word as incorrect because they haven't actually given you the final answer. So I'll be talking about that next week.